Hello, my name is Willie Stevens.
And I'm Brady Stevens, and welcome to The Journey of Us. Welcome to The Journey of Us podcast, season 3. And today we're going to be talking about money. Yes.
Money, okay.
Your favorite thing, right?
Well, not my favorite thing, but it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about how we handled money and just how things came up along the way.
Yeah.
So when we first got together, what did it mean? What did money mean to you?
It meant, well, it gave me the ability to take care of my family. I've never been one that felt as if I have to have a certain amount of money or I have to be a millionaire or any of that.
Yeah.
I've never felt as if I had to be or have that particular thing, but I feel as if, it's needed,
Yeah.
especially the world that we're living in. We actually have to be able to have some sort of financial freedom so that we won't always be asking someone else for something. Because
Yeah.
people say that they would rather be the giver,
The lender,
than the
not the
borrower.
borrower.
Yeah, but I feel the same way. However, after a while you get tired of being the lender too. So
I get it, but we weren't always in the position to be the lender.
yeah, you're right.
So in the beginning, money for me has pretty much just spent a lot of my life with a lack of it.
Yeah.
And just always working multiple jobs, just working. And I saw my parents do all the working too,
Yeah.
in order to obtain money. So thinking about that, when we first got together, do you think, were we in survival mode, building mode? What do you think we kind of were initially?
Initially, I think we had to have been in survival mode. Because
Yeah.
we were barely making it. We borrowing money, going to credit unions to get loans.
Yes.
And I didn't even think about that to just now.
Yeah.
We used to go to credit unions to get a loan just to make it through so that we can get what we needed. So we
Yeah.
were in survival mode at that time.
Yeah, those fast cash type of places
Yes.
with the extreme interest rates
Yeah,
that they had.
We ended up paying them off earlier, but
Yeah.
just the idea, I didn't like even going there to make my payment.
You didn't?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
So yeah, that was definitely, I agree. We were definitely in survival
Yeah.
mode. Just paycheck to paycheck, just trying to work it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess next let's talk about in our marriage, do you think early on or even now that financial difficulties or the lack of money has created distance between us?
No, I know that some people, they have that issue where, you're stressed out because of the money. You're not having it, and you just always arguing. I do remember we had our issues, and generally they used to center around the lack of money, because when there's a lack of money, a lack of resources, frustration comes in.
Yeah.
Frustration starts to build in the smallest thing, you're upset about it. You didn't cook the food just right. There's a frustration. So you'll pop off because of something totally different. But I think that's where we used to have our issues when we're talking about the money portion of it.
Yeah, I remember distinctly. It was early on when we first got married. So before we got married, of course, I mean, at that point, I was living at home with my mom with our son, and I remember just working, and then we got married. Well, when I was working, I like to go to Cato's,
Yeah.
and give me a little shirt every now and again, every
Yeah, I
pay
remember
every
that.
pay period. And then I wanted to get my nails done.
Yeah.
And after we got married, things were tight
Yeah.
because initially you were working, but I had, I left my job and was in pursuit of another job here in Baton Rouge. And I was like, oh, I can't even go get a shirt or
Yeah.
get my nails done. And so that was like something big for me. And we just couldn't do it.
Yeah. We had to work our way through,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people, they think that, now you got two incomes, so this should be much easier.
Yeah.
But that's just not always the case, because now you got two sets of bills.
Right.
on
Right.
top of the two income that are insufficient in most cases,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about us, me being in school, then you going back to school and all
Yes.
of that and stuff. So we had to um, uh, make some hard decisions
Yeah.
on what we were going to do as far as whether or not we were going to have the money to do some of these things, or whether some of these things just had to wait.
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, a lot of things had to wait.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had to be put on the back burner. And we let a lot of things go. You know, now that I think about it, like at one point we did not have cable TV.
Yes,
We didn't
you're right.
have cell phones.
Yeah. Had a prepaid phone. I remember.
Yes.
I remember I got you a regular phone
Uh-huh.
because I wanted to make sure your phone was always on. But I got myself a prepaid phone.
Yeah.
Just in case if we run out of money again, okay, my phone's gone. I'll
Right.
deal with whatever happens. If I'm on the side of the road, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I just
Yeah.
didn't want that for you. But
Yeah.
we've gone through it just like everybody else has.
Yeah. I had to make certain sacrifices and make better decisions
Yes.
too.
Yes.
With how we handled the money that we had. Because
Yeah.
we didn't have a lot.
Mhm.
But we did have to learn how to make better decisions. Because at first we didn't make good decisions.
Correct.
With
Correct.
our
Because we
money.
were learning along
Yeah.
the way. We were learning what was important and what really wasn't important. And I'm just grateful that we didn't go down a road that we could have gone down, making bad decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. At any point, let me ask you, did you feel, I'm sure you did, pressure financially, like you had to carry this alone?
Yes. Early on, well, as a matter of fact, I deal with that now.
Yeah.
Not necessarily feeling as if I have to carry it alone, but I feel that ultimately I'm responsible for my family.
Yeah.
I think I learned that from my father. I remember when we were growing up, sometimes he wasn't home during getting close to Christmas time. He's working all these extra hours. I distinctly remember waking up in the morning, getting ready for school, and he wasn't there. He was already at work.
Yeah.
And then coming back home at night, he may get home right before we go to bed. And he's doing it again the next day. And so I remember that, and I felt as if that's what being a provider meant.
Yeah.
Doing whatever it takes to take care of your family. And so that is what I've always had ingrained in me, the idea that it's my responsibility, even though we have two incomes, even
Yeah.
though, now we're in a good position, it's always ultimately, I have to make sure it's done. Because if it's not done, who cares whose fault it was? Who cares that, a certain person didn't get paid, so we had to, we weren't able to bring a certain amount of money, and none of that matters. What matters is, did you get it done or did you not?
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Things are different now.
Yeah.
And like you said, like back in the day, the women were at home caring for the children, in school, teaching the children and stuff like that. But now things have shifted to where it's necessary to have a two-income household in most cases. So now that shift has come up, do you still feel like the man is the provider and it's ultimately only his responsibility?
Well, I've never felt that it was only his responsibility. It's just like if somebody break into your house, who's going to be the first line of defense?
You are.
That's how I feel about it. It's not necessarily that
Okay.
that the wife or the girlfriend or the significant other is not going to be the one that's going to assist and we get it done together. But I feel, and I still feel that there are certain things I have to make sure that it's done, and
Okay.
regardless who gets it done, it has to be done.
Yeah.
Because if something has to be done, if I have to, even if you do the work, I have to be the face of it sometimes. Because if a guy is coming talking crazy, and I don't care what you did, I still have to be the face and say, no, get on out of here, that type of stuff. And so it's not necessarily, I guess I don't really feel that I have to be the only one,
Okay.
but I feel as if I have to be the last and the first line of defense.
Okay. That clears it up.
Okay.
Because, things are different now.
Okay.
You know,
Well, what do you think about it then?
I mean, I think that of course, going back to the Bible, it speaks of the man being the provider, the priest and the prophet of the home. And I do feel like you are the leader, but at the same time, I still feel like we're a team. And I feel like we both bring something to the table financially, emotionally, intellectually. But back to finances, I mean, I feel like I bring to the table too. And it's important that we approach it as a team.
Yeah.
And I know that you still may feel like it's ultimately you're the last line of defense, but I want you to know that I'm here with you in this. And we can figure whatever it is, this finances, okay, because in our home, let's just say, like, I am in charge of, keeping of the books.
Yeah.
Right. I know, what's coming in and out of the bank account, and I pay the bills. Of course, we both contribute to the house, of course. But I'm like that person that can plan and, map things out. And so if there's a deficiency, then I'm the one that knows it first. And so I feel like we can just figure that out together.
Yeah.
So
and
I have the
it
team.
all makes sense.
Yeah.
It all makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just that thing in the back of your head, trying to fight up against my past.
Is it societal norms?
It's not even that. It's what
not?
I've seen.
Okay.
And so when you've only seen it being modeled a certain way, sometimes it becomes difficult to change, even though intellectually you know better.
Yeah.
Because I will say that, I remember telling you less than a year ago that I just felt comfortable enough to tell you everything that I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
From a financial standpoint.
Yes.
Because, I have employees. I have different things. I have to make sure we have sufficient funds to get taken care of.
Right.
And so sometimes, even if I have to put forth monies that I wasn't expecting to put forth,
yeah,
I just felt after 17 years comfortable to the point where I'll tell you some of those things, because I don't like you to worry about them, because I know I'll figure it out, but I just don't like you to have to worry about it. But I do know better now.
I guess
I come around.
Yeah. So my thing is, I'm happy that we're here, but I just.
Why did it take so long?
Yes.
I can't tell you.
Yeah. I get
this
it.
Is me. This is the part of me. This is the
your journey.
Of me.
I like it though. I'm just happy that we're here now, and that, we're able to, walk this journey together and support each other.
Yeah.
Throughout.
And the good thing about it, there is no date or no time limit on when a person should be at a certain point.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes years.
Yeah.
Sometimes people never get there. And so I'm just grateful, and I think it's more liberating to me that I'm here now. And I can tell you, and I can, I guess, show you another layer of me.
I'm just happy that you're comfortable doing it. I really am.
Good.
Yes.
It took a lot.
Okay. Okay, so.
This episode is brought to you by the Stevens Injury Law Firm. If you've been injured in an accident, you don't have to handle it alone. The Stevens Injury Law Firm is here to protect your rights and help you get the compensation you deserve. If you've been injured, contact the Stevens Injury Law Firm today.
When do you think we kind of got to the point to where we started to kind of get our footing about us and get a plan together, or start putting some action with our spending habits and our finances, kind of getting a hold of it? But I feel like we're still on the journey with that too.
Yeah. I can't think of when it was. Do you remember?
I really can't pinpoint a time, but I do know that we did come to a point to where, so after we kind of talked about this in another episode, like after you graduated law school and, got your license and opened the practices, and, there's this expectation. But I think we decided at some point that we have to take care of us.
Yes.
And I guess it was around right after that point where you graduated, we had to learn that nobody's coming to save us. And so we have to make good decisions for our household and not just give it all away.
Yeah, absolutely right. Because we've been in situations where we've given till it hurt.
Yeah.
And, we'll give because that's who I am,
Yes.
and I know people know that. And so I know that I don't know if their purpose or their intent is to take advantage because they know the type of person I am, but it comes off that way. It comes off as, I'm being used.
Yeah.
And so I just got to the point where I was okay with no.
Yeah.
And when I first started my practice, the assumption is that, okay, well, they already got money.
Rolling in the dough.
Yeah. Yeah. And so let me make sure I get my hand in first. I promise you, I hadn't seen some people in years. I hadn't talked to people I know this one particular person, I'm not going to say, but I hadn't talked to this person in over 10 years. And this person is calling me, asking me, can they borrow some money? And I know what that means. Can you give me some money?
Yeah.
And it's been over 10 years now, and I hadn't gotten it back yet.
Yeah.
But I prefer it that way because now, okay, I don't have to get you anything else again.
Yeah.
And so I prefer, if you want some money from me, come on, get it. Because if you get it once, I can move on with my life.
Okay. I think it's important. I think it's a hard lesson that we learned was that we got to take care of home.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that or even if it's like set aside a certain amount that we're able to give away or lend away, but make sure that we have our savings intact. Make sure that our bills are paid. Because like you said, a lot of times we gave until it hurt.
Yeah.
And we know and we love, the people around us and know that they are in need. But at the end of the day, nobody's coming to save us.
Yeah.
And if it's just tough.
Yeah.
And so we just have to start, I guess, getting comfortable saying no, like you said, and being okay with that, still loving them and encouraging them. And even in some instances, helping them to formulate a plan to do better for themselves, because that's what it was. Like, we learned our hard lessons when it came to finances and life, and we, went without a lot.
Yeah.
And so after we learned the lesson, we changed our behavior. So,
and I will say that my experience is that a lot of people do not necessarily want to change. They don't necessarily want you to help them formulate a plan so they can get out of what they're in, because I think it's more so, okay, that's the hard part about it. That takes time. That takes years. It took you all years to do that. I'm not interested in that. What I want is you just to give me this money now and let's move on.
yeah. I guess it just goes
Because
back.
you got it.
That's the assumption.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that old adage, if you teach a man to fish.
Yeah.
So this episode is brought to you by True Beauty Salon, where we help everyone embrace and enjoy their hair. At True Beauty Salon, we specialize in nurturing your natural hair with care and expertise. Schedule your next appointment and experience the True Beauty difference. Yeah, those are definitely some of the lessons that we learned.
Yeah.
At this point, do you feel like we are building comfort, freedom, or legacy?
Me personally, I feel like we are building legacy. I know we are comfortable right now, but we're building towards legacy, because even with me in my office, I'm not building a practice so that we can eat. We're going to eat regardless. Because quite honestly, if I were to shut everything down and just have me and one assistant, we would eat we would have a much bigger plate than we have currently.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to be that person. I've always wanted to build an economy. I wanted to build in a way that the people that work for me will always have somewhere to work. Their kids will have somewhere to work. I want this practice to survive me.
Right.
And so that's what I want my legacy to be. And so now that's where I am going. I'm going towards legacy because we're going to be fine.
Yeah. I feel like we're headed toward freedom and building legacy, but I will say with building legacy, it's still uncomfortable, and there's a greater amount of risk
Yes.
that we've had to take, because the risk on this level is different from when we were first starting out,
Yeah.
because now we have people who are coming along the journey with us.
Yes.
And that pressure is rough
is.
sometimes.
Yeah, I know, because it's one thing, me worrying about making sure we're going to be able to eat and not get put out of our place. But now I have to worry about not only not even us anymore, but it's more so about the people that work for you.
Yeah.
Because you can't just, I guess you can shut your business down one day and now everybody's out of a job, because I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
But that's just not who I am. And so I have to make decisions that are going to be beneficial and have enough foresight to understand that this is not going to just affect me.
Right.
This is going to affect me, my family, my kid, also everybody else that works for me, their family and
Right.
their children.
Right. Right. And I think it goes back to those hard lessons we've learned earlier on in our personal finances. We have been able to kind of take that into our businesses
Yeah.
and have good financial responsibility with a budget, and being able to say, no, I'm sorry, that's not in the budget. Because we see the bigger picture, and because we want to, like you said, leave a legacy and just leave the world a better place than we found it.
Yeah.
To leave our mark and to kind of help people grow.
Yeah.
So
Because I've always said that I want the Stephen's name to be known around the world.
you have said that.
That's what I want that. And I want it to be in a good way. I don't want all of us getting out of jail.
Yeah.
And so, that's what I am shooting for, to try to build something. But like you said earlier, the risk is no joke. It's one thing when you're risking $500 on something,
Yeah.
but it's something totally different when I go and enter into a contract for $250,000.
Yes, I'm different.
And I'm just assuming things are going to happen. I'm working towards those things, because I do that all the time. I enter into these contracts and I put money forward for our clients sometimes. It's nothing for me to put $50,000 towards a client and we're not sure if we're going to be able to recover.
Right.
And so
Right.
those are just the risks that I don't want to say I'm comfortable taking them, but I understand that they're necessary to get to where I'm trying to go.
Right. 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 And what I do appreciate, and I know this is definitely about finance, but what I do appreciate is that you are an entrepreneur, and so am I, and we have the opportunity to support each other as it relates to that, with coming home and talking about different things, and you actually you understand, you can relate to the difficulties that maybe come up, and I can relate to you. And so that's really what this partnership is about. Not just, we're Brandy and Willie, husband and wife, I love you, but able to support each other in those ways as well. One last question, and then we're going to tie a bow on this. What habits do you think we had to break as far as finances?
I think we had to break the habit of just giving it all away.
Yeah.
Doing nice things. Doing nice things is wonderful. I am a proponent of helping people out when you can, but don't do it to your detriment. I've had to learn that the hard way, because I realized that when I need something, they can't help me.
Yeah.
But when they need something, they may need a couple $100. But when I come up short, I need $20,000. Can you step in there, help me out?
Yeah.
And so those are the situations when I was saying earlier that being the lender and not the borrower and all that, you get tired of being the lender.
Yeah.
Because it seems as if there is no reciprocity.
Yeah.
You're always the giver, and someone else always needs something. And it's never just one person.
Yeah.
We have groups that contact us. I don't know that I've gone a month without some company, some organization, some individual asking, can you sponsor this? Can you donate this? Can you give this? And so it gets difficult.
Yeah.
And so I've learned throughout the process that no is a good thing.
Yeah.
No, it's a good thing.
Yeah. For me, as far as habits, not necessarily a habit that I had to be consistent for us is definitely staying within budget.
Yeah.
And setting aside, the money that needs to be set aside and paying ourselves first, per se. And when I say pay yourself first, that means like put into your savings, your investments and stuff like that, to make sure that you set something aside for yourself. Because the other people, the utilities, the bills and all of that's going to come. But that was one of the things that I think I had to develop to be more consistent with that. It's like creating a budget, and sticking with that. Sometimes it don't always work out, but coming back to that and having the discipline to get back in line. And I think something that we're really good about too is like sitting together and playing it out. Hey, okay, we have this coming up, or we need to pay this down, or whatever the case may be. We have this new expense that just came up, and we sit down. Okay, so what do we need to do?
Yeah.
What do we need to let go of, or what do we need to put more towards? If I have to, work a little bit more in the salon, or whatever the case may be, doing what we need to do in order to make it work.
Yeah. That's our motto.
It is.
Make it work.
Make it work.
Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what other people think or what is going on externally. Ultimately, we're the ones that has to deal with it. And so we got to get it done. We got to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think finances will always be, something that is important in the relationship. We've had our struggles before. And honestly, we have our struggles now.
Yeah.
It's just on a different level. And it's those things that we've learned along the way that have helped us to do better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I am grateful for the process, because the process is actually what allows us to be able to, I guess, level up.
Yeah.
Because now we know what's going to happen. We know steps 1 through 10, we know what they are. And so when we get through steps 1 through 10 initially, then we're fine, because the next step is 11. So it's starting at 1 again.
Just on a different level.
On a different level.
Yeah.
And so we know exactly what to expect. We're not naive enough to think that if we're going to the next level, it's not going to be, I guess, or it's going to be as easy as it was on the previous level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a whole nother level of difficulty.
Yeah, yeah.
But you built for it.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you for watching this episode where we talked about finances and the lessons we learned the hard way. Be sure to like and subscribe.
And stay tuned for our next episode where we're going to discuss happiness in marriage.
So we'll see you next time on The Journey of Us.